Welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds. Our first, well, I should say our second episode of 2026, and we're about to kick it off. And you know how we do around here. I got to bring my boys in here one at a time. And tonight, Uncle Jay from Uncle Jay's Urban Legends, you drew the lucky stick, I guess, to go with this, however you want to
The
look at it.
long straw?
The long straw, Jay. How you doing, big guy?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. So for the 4 people who joined since our last show together, man, break it down, man. Tell them who you are, big boy.
So I'm Uncle Jay, also known as JS Noon. I write the Carina Sagittarium series, which is a sci-fi book series about artificial intelligence and immortality.
That's right. Should I do it, Jay? Should I do it?
Sure.
I'm gonna do it. Jay writes books. If you didn't know that, Jay writes books.
Yeah.
So Jay's an author and also a video game designer and a board game designer. And Jay is always hitting me up in the middle of the night. Luckily, I don't see those messages till 3 days later about some crazy off the wall invention he has. So, and I bring Jay on for special occasions, not special occasions, but for specific topics that we like to dig into this channel, because I refuse to conform and just do one topic 24/7, because that's just not how we roll. So Jay, tonight, man, you brought me a good one, man. Break it down. What are we talking about here, big boy?
So we're talking about something that has entered kind of like the limelight lately with a certain Netflix show that just released its last episode, right? So if you're familiar with Stranger Things, right, it was based on something called the Montauk Project. So the Montauk Project originated like back in the early 90s. There was a book published in 1992 called The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time,
Right.
written by Preston, Nichols, and Peter Moon.
Right.
And it went deep, really deep. And this thing rolled like a snowball, right? It talked about experimentation on children. It talked about interdimensional travel, talked
Yeah.
about time travel, and all this was couched as sort of like a conspiracy theory about the Camp Hero out in Montauk, New York. So
Yeah.
that's
So it's a banger. We're going to get into it. We're going to unwrap it here, and we're going to go down 1 or 2 rabbit holes as we go along here. And to give everybody, like we do, a quick when, where, why, and who, we'll break that down. So the Montauk Project that Jay just talked about is actually an umbrella name for everything that they were doing that he's talked about. This project ran from as far back as 1950 and was shut down. But if you know anything about how the government works, nothing's ever shut down. It's renamed for budgeting purposes in 1991, right? And they did exactly what Jay talked about. The budgeting request for this have been declassified for the Montauk Project. They do not deny its existence, and there were 4 key things. There was a lot of things in there that they were doing. There was 4 key, or I would call them line items in the budget, and I wrote them down: time travel, mind control, telekinesis, and portals. And I stopped there. I could have went on. Basically, man, all kinds of fiduciary that you could
yep.
think about. They were in the process of doing it. They received tons of money to do this research, Jay. Tons of money with it, right? And they actually, fun fact for the people who follow this show, Jay mentioned Camp Hero, New York. Camp Hero, New York is actually a World War II deep underground military base. It's one of our first ones ever. They can't deny it. And they disguised it, wait for it, as a fishing village. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Well, it was originally designed. I mean, the stated purpose was to use it for a radar base for the SAGE system, the semi-automatic ground environment system, right? To monitor the Soviets so that we could see bombers coming across the Atlantic, right? That was what the big radar tower was for. And they had a bunch of artillery in bunkers all over the base, right? And so they disguise it so that if there was I guess a satellite flyover or a spy
Yeah.
plane's flyover, they wouldn't see that it was an artillery base.
Yeah. And they had a little bit extra room left over. So somebody said, hey, let's go abduct children, torture them, and see if they can move things with their mind. And if you just chuckled at that like Jay did I make any of that up?
No, I mean that's the story, right?
That's the story.
That's the story. The story is that um, not just children, but homeless people, they were grabbing everybody, right?
Everybody.
To try and see what was possible as far as like mind control, manipulation, telekinesis, teleportation, weather manipulation. I mean, dude, the list is long, right? Like
Long.
long.
It's basically every single
They
they're
rolled
basically
up.
looking for Jedis. If we can find any Jedis
Yeah.
out there in the world is what they were looking for, and they were literally and it's weird to say, man, but, like, they were taking children. They were taking children out of orphanages, they were taking children, some say off the streets. There was a second so like Jay said, in 1990, a man came forward. His name was Peterson Nicholson, right?
No,
But also a
Preston
s
Nichols.
what is it? What is it?
Preston
Preston.
Nichols.
Preston Nichols. Thanks, Jay. But a second whistleblower came forward soon after that, and his name was Al Bielek, Bielek, right? And so when there's smoke, there's fire, but you don't always are not always getting the truth with you're not always getting the truth with some people that come forward. Sometimes people are embellishing stories or seeking fame or whatever. But I will tell you that one of the reasons why this totally fits in with uh what's going on, I actually believe it is because of everything that's coming forward right now in 2025 and 2026 about how everything we've ever been taught is a lie. And I have seen people have reached out to me on this channel and messaged me on Instagram and TikTok asking about if we remember the tests they used to give us in school. If anybody who's not in America, Jay, you got that? Break that down, Jay. What the tests they used to give us in middle school and elementary school?
Yeah. I've heard a lot about the GATE, gifted and
Yeah,
talented program. And so when I was in middle school, I lived in South Georgia. And I remember being put in that program, being tested and all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, we're going to put you in what they called it at my school was Quest. And
yeah,
I don't know what that stood for, but uh, we did all kinds of stuff in there,
yeah,
like logic puzzles. And I remember designing a car while I was in that class. Like, if you're going to design a car for the future, what would it look like? What would the features it have? And blah, 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 blah. And we did all kind of crazy stuff in that class. Remember
yeah,
doing a lot of logic puzzles.
yeah. Big Papa Pump here. I didn't go to school. I cut class a lot, so I do remember a few paddlings I got along the way because they could hit you back
Oh
in the
yeah,
day.
that's right. Oh yeah.
They could hit you back in the day, and I do remember a bunch of perverts making me take my shirt off, bend over, touch my toes to see if I had scoliosis or something like that back in
Yep.
the day as well, right? I don't know. Leave that in the comments if you
Dude,
watch it.
the paddle.
Yeah,
The paddle in my school, the one that they had, it had holes in it.
yeah.
So it would whistle. It would whistle.
Aerodynamics.
Yep.
So yeah, we're laughing about that, but I do. There's all kinds of there are all kinds of things that took place when we were going back to school because some of you people who are younger than us are not going to believe this, but there was a time when your parents didn't follow you around everywhere you went and made sure what you were doing or load jack your cell phone, right? And we were basically the feral kids of the universe out there. It was actually a funner time, by the way.
It was. It was nice.
Yeah. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And I actually did a little bit of digging on this. And also there is it from one of the things I've learned doing these episodes. 100 this is our 100 when this drops, this will be episode 108. We've had a lot of conversations, we've had a lot of guests, and the familiar theme that you'll get along the way is the topic of karmic retribution and how the universal law states that they must tell you what they're doing. And if you choose to accept it and that it's on you, it's not them. So if I tell Jay I'm going to put a cigarette out on his head and he comes over and I put the cigarette out on his head, then that's Jay's fault, not my fault for putting a cigarette on his head. That's how they believe it, right? So that's as
Okay.
backward it is, right? So I did a quick look, right? A quick look on this, right? And it turns out, for a fun fact, that the original Stranger Things pilot episode and idea pitched to Netflix had a one name word for it called Montauk. I don't know if you knew that or not, Jake.
Yep.
So this is not speculation. This is documented by the creators. You can go look it up, right? Now, there's also some core elements that they took along. They took along the way as they moved along. Jay, is that one, the Montauk Project, remote coastal military base, radar towers, underground facilities, Cold War secrecy. We talked about that, right? We just did,
Yep.
right? Stranger Things had the Hawkins lab that looks very similar to the last standing building that's
Right.
in Montauk if you go look, right?
It's like a bigger version of the bunker.
Yeah. And how were those kids getting around? Underground tunnels, corridors that were connecting the freaking Radio Shack to the radio tower. Government cover stories. Their enemy was the Russians. And it also, there was an underlying theme as we go. I'm going to break it down some more, is that real secrecy only requires isolation. That's it. You only have to be isolated, right? No one is going to Montauk, right? Or unless you're perfect example is Diego Garcia. I did a year on Diego Garcia. No one is going to find Diego Garcia unless you're going to Diego Garcia. This doesn't happen, right? And so, yeah, there's more comparisons along the way that I'm going to break down as we go. But yes, so the foundation, the footing of the project is real, was 100%, is, well, very similar, right?
Right.
Yeah, too similar, in my opinion, to go with it. And the second thing that they bring into this is, Jay, is that what talk this as well. Children and trauma, right?
Yep.
The allegations of abducted children follows the Montauk project. Trauma-based mind control, right? Psychic conditioning. Same thing that if you look into the Stranger Things, by the way, I don't want to spoil it, but the ending sucked, but you'll figure that
Yeah,
on your
I
own.
like the ending.
Really? Get out of here, nerd. You're
Yeah,
such a
dude, I
nerd. You're
loved
such
it.
a nerd, bro.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? So it was they like the creators came out and said it was like a love letter to the 80s, right? And how did most of the 80s like movies end? It
In the
ended
military? You joined
on
the
a happy
military?
note. It ended on a happy note,
You
right? There was a
continued
positivity there
you
at the
continued
end
the
of a
abuse.
lot of the 80s
Yeah.
stuff.
So, yeah, man.
I
So,
liked it.
man,
Eh,
tomato, tomato. Stranger Things talked about 11, child, abducted from her mother, tested. MK Ultra style experiments. That's a trauma based. The best movie if you want to watch this right is a very old movie. If you want to know the very first time they soft disclosed MK Ultra program, go and look up this old weird movie, very violent, called Clockwork Orange. Right.
oh yeah.
If you go and look at that movie, a lot of these kids have never heard of that. A lot of people watching this have never seen it. If you go look up the movie Clockwork Orange, they are showing you exactly how they do the MK Ultra program, right? The second one is, the third one, the comparison was the psychic weaponization, you know, and that's where, it's not sensational trying to take a child with psychic abilities and turn it into a weapon. It's not sensational because that's what the Montauk program was doing. They were looking for anything that they could use as a weapon with psychic powers.
Well,
That's
I
it,
mean,
man.
they heard, okay, so the way that I understand it was the whole reason all of this stuff started was it was a weird fake out kind of thing. So, and this reaches back to there was a movie also called The Men Who Stare at Goats. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
So that was it's related. So all of these programs like Stargate, because that Stargate was a verifiable one, right? Where people
Yeah.
were doing remote viewing at Fort Meade. Like
Yeah.
I've followed that for decades,
You've been
right?
deep into that.
Deep into the remote viewing thing, just
Yeah.
studying it. Um, the whole reason that stuff started was, from what I understanding, we started a fake rumor that we were doing psychic research and that we were being successful with it.
Uh,
And so Russian intelligence caught hold of that and said, well, we better start our psychic program, right? And so the Russians believed our counter intel. So they started a program. So then we had to start a real program to counter their real program, right? So our fake program turned into a real program about trying to find alternative means,
right.
right? And this is not new, right? Ever since like World War II, like um Germany in World War II, like that regime, Hitler started all that stuff too. Like
Yeah.
they had a
Operation.
big
Yeah.
occult, yeah, they had a
Yeah.
big occult kind
The
of
the
arm
the
that
Thule
believed,
Society. Yeah. Yeah. So
right?
the Germans actually had a division. Again, we can this actually comes into play with what we're talking about. The Germans actually had a division in their government for occult behavior, and it was called the Thule Society, right? And the Thule Society, and they took it extremely serious, and it was very successful. And when what Jay's talking about Project Stargate, you can go and look, and I've talked about this before, and I produced the receipts on our other channel, the Enigma Daily, especially. The CIA's declassified documents that they kept witches, warlocks, and satanic people on the payroll. They tried to get into
Anything,
the occult, any poltergeist activity and things of that nature as well. They tried to weaponize it that they could get into. So all that stuff plays back into it. So when when the Russians, our cardboard enemies, were propped up by the New World Order, they did the same thing, right? They were trying to get into it as well. Now, they are the original OG gatekeepers when it comes to their documentation because the KGB, they wrapped up their loose ends. You never retired out of their programs, not like here,
right?
right? So there was no whistleblowers, right? So yeah, this is absolutely real phenomenon, and we're going to get into the science here in a second about the science behind it, right? But a third comparison with this Stranger Things, again, this is um, too on the nose to be a coincidence, right? Is that when you looked at the comparisons of the Montauk program, they talked about radar experiments. Basically, the name of that system was called the SAGE system, SAGE, right? Frequency manipulation, claims of consciousness effects. And consciousness effect is what Jay was just talking about. Remote viewing, where you basically it's called astral projection. Jay will shoot his subconscious or his conscious mind anywhere on the planet, right? So Stranger Things did the same thing with sensory deprivation, sound isolation, frequency, and altered perception, right? So frequency doesn't just show, you know, frequency doesn't just, move signals. You can actually scramble somebody's eggs with the right frequency. You can put a
Oh,
vision in a
absolutely.
man's mind, right? With the frequency. Like, so that's another thing that people don't, I think they don't grasp. Perfect example is, I don't know if you followed, the snatch and grab of Maduro down there in Venezuela, right?
Yeah,
So
they used a
200,
sonic weapon.
yeah, so 200 Army Special Forces Delta guys, they killed 300 people. They killed 300 Cubans. So there was 500 Cuban soldiers that were surrounding Maduro's compound. They killed 300 of them, man.
Venezuelan.
Yeah,
Not,
so Maduro's Venezuelan security guards were actually Cubans because
oh,
he thought his people were going to kill him, right? So he brought in Cubans. A lot of people don't know this, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So his whole security detail, there was 500 of them. His whole security detail were Cubans, right? And they killed 300 of them. But the remaining 200 said that they were incapacitated with blood coming out of their mouths and their nose and their ears, and they heard nothing, no bells ringing or nothing like that. That right there, that's a frequency attack, right? Because your
Yeah,
body is made up of what, Jay, 97% water or
yeah,
I
it's
forget.
a lot. It's like 70 something percent. And
Yeah.
the the whole reason a microwave works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It vibrates the water, it turns it to steam, right?
Yeah,
So when you direct a powerful enough microwave, like
yeah,
2.4 gigahertz, right? That's the sweet spot.
yeah,
You using what they call a directed energy weapon, right?
yeah. I do. Basically, that
Yep.
smoked with it, right? So yeah, man. So this technology exists and it happens. And so, yeah. And the crazy thing about it is that this technology is not new. And I'm gonna tell you why it's not new, right? So Jay, did you come across this guy named William Reich in your studies?
He's not in my notes, but his
So
name sounds familiar.
yeah, so the methods and techniques they were using specifically to this is the word that they use now, everybody. This is gonna show you how they're all just a bunch of satanic lawyers. The methods and techniques they use to condition the children, right? That means basically torture them and get them to activate, was developed by this cat named William Reich. Now, William Reich is an Austrian psychologist who was
Oh
actually a
yeah,
direct student of Sigmund Freud himself.
that's
Now,
what it
Sigmund
was.
Freud, if you don't know who he was, you don't have to go and look him up. I can just give you the cliff notes. He was a satanic Jewish Freemason who was obsessed with incest, and he wrote some incredibly disgusting books along the way, right? But he also, one of the things that he was one of the early, they say pioneers. I hate using that word, but he was an early person for trying to come up with mind control techniques. And he believed that you had to inflict trauma on a child at the age of 7 years old, right? So, and it had to be someone they trusted by the time they were 30 to condition them to do whatever you wanted, right? So these were this, so Reich just took, William Reich was one of his students, and he actually believed in this thing called Oregon, right? Oregon was what he said was life energy. Jay, did you get that as well?
Yeah,
Yeah. Life energy and the ether. And he said that he created this device called the Oregon accumulator. It's kind of funny, man, but like it was a box you could step in, and he could heal all these diseases and stuff like that. And with by altering the frequencies that were coming into this box. But all of a sudden, he was ordered to shut that down, but he didn't. He ended up in federal prison, mind you. And then one day, Jay just died in his cell for no reason on November 3rd, 1957. He was just found dead in his cell for, pneumonia, I'm sure, right?
it was myocardial insufficiency. He had a
Yeah.
heart attack, essentially.
That means two dudes walked into his cell, held his feet while the other one strangled
Yeah,
him, right? And then they
right.
cremated his body, right? Yeah. So that's what
Yeah.
that mitochondrial
Somebody held
infarction.
a pillow over his face.
Exactly. Right. 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 He locked himself in the trunk and shot himself 10 times. Suicide.
Right. Yeah.
typical,
With a rifle.
typical, with a rifle. Typical suicide, right? So yeah. So and here's where it leads into it, right? So they took his research on this antenna and the frequency that he was using to emit, I guess the word I'm looking for, Jay, for the antenna, actually caused serious atmospheric and distortions in the word they used in perceived reality, right? And they amplified it. And when they did, they people started reporting strange things happening, strange weather, animals, wild animals started acting very strange around it. And again, when people were reporting all throughout the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, strange creatures appearing, right? And we're going to get into this to a second, right? When we about the Montauk, because apparently they were successful. And if you remember the Montauk monster that washed up on the beach, right? That's where this came from, right? It looks like a demon pig of some sort. But in this guy's notes, to circle back, Jay, he was talking about uh, Preston Nicholson was saying that they were opening portals, that they had locked onto alternate universes, multi universes,
Yeah, there was
theories of
some
what.
kind of time there was a lot of time travel involved, which was very complicated, and
Yeah,
it jumped around a lot, which it like I said when in the beginning, this story started to snowball, right? It started with
yeah,
the one book, and then they had a second book, and then there was a third book. And I mean, as time went on and as these books came out, there were more and more like just off the wall outlandish stuff, man.
fantastical stories that came out of it, right?
Right.
And the
And
2
then
ones that yeah, go ahead.
and then they kind of lost me there, right? Like I feel like there may have been some shreds of evidence in the beginning, but then when they
Yeah,
started talking about um traveling through time and retrieving the blood of Jesus, that
right.
that they lost me there.
Yeah, another thing too, another thing too is that it spirals out of control. But what the 2 things that they touched on that actually had physical evidence that remained was the Montauk monster that rolled up. That was a real thing. But also, the Montauk Project actually was the umbrella project for the battleship they made disappear.
The
Remember what that was called?
Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the umbrella. When I say umbrella, that's where the Philadelphia experiment was reporting and getting their money from. And the Philadelphia experiment, if you're not familiar with that, everybody, we'll give you like a quick 60 seconds here. United States Navy was trying to make a this is crazy, but it's true. Trying to make a battleship invisible so you
Yep,
couldn't see it. And they
cloaking
actually
device.
and they like a real life cloaking device on it. And they actually ended up ripping a hole in space time and teleporting it and sending it through some wormhole or whatever.
Yep.
And it's a real event. It really happened. Real strange things happen. Imagine, and again, let's imagine being the guy flicking that switch. All right, guys, we should see a slight glimmer on the hole. Oh, what's going on?
Right?
Right.
So that story, just the quick and dirty version is they took the USS Eldridge.
Right.
They put an experimental cloaking device on it. They flipped the switch. It tel it teleported to Virginia,
Yeah.
Norfolk, Virginia, and then minutes later came back. And when it came back, uh, the story goes that all of the sailors on board were either dead, some of them buried in the hull,
Yeah.
or crazy, like they'd gone mad, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, Jay, this isn't speculation. This is real. Like this happened, right? So I mean, like I'm telling you, this is
Mm,
what this I'd heard stories. I had read stories about okay, these guys got fused into a bulkhead, right?
uh-huh.
And when they were doing it right. And if you go and you read the science behind that, what that would take to happen. A steel bulkhead, right? For in order for me to fuse to it, the molecules in that bulkhead would become transparent of some sort, right? Or in a layman's term, they would vibrate, right? That the molecules would not be solid, they would vibrate. And during that vibration, it would be possible for me to put my hand through it and back through it like you know, rubber. But if my hand was stuck in the wall when it switched back, I become part of the wall, right? And
Mhm.
so a lot of people in there were saying that actually happened. And the people that came, and again, of course, they hushed everything up and they covered everything up as much as possible on it. But we do know that, I don't want to be a bombastic episode, but we do know the Montauk Project was real. We do know the Philadelphia experiment was real, and we do know what they were trying to accomplish, right? So the realm of possibility
I
for
don't
me,
know, man.
not at a doubt.
This one to me, uh, reads a lot like science fiction, personally.
Can't rule it out. And that's the thing, man. You can't rule it out right now. And again, you can't rule it out as well that the project stopped and they never continued going on with it to our public knowledge as well, or they change it around, right? So, but that leads us to a fourth thing about the soft disclosure that was on this Montauk program is what they were talking about, other dimensions, basically the upside down and wormhole technology, right?
Right.
Now, the Montauk people, or I call them people or survivors, And these people they did have people in this. I don't know if they were, the real ones, but people were saying that they came out with claims of dimensional openings, opening portals. Said they were successful. Time slips. They said that happened, right? You talked about that. Later went on to develop it into full-blown time travel. Non-human entities, right? And if you go into Stranger Things, they talk about what? The upside down,
Hmm.
interdimensional beings, how reality overlaps, right? And so these people that came up supposedly with this fictional story, they didn't invent it, right? They just visualized what they were reading, right? So they read something along the way, same things we got our hands on, right? And they visualized what they were seeing along the way, right? And so, yeah, man, that right there tells, to me that has a lot of similarities on it. And I can't rule it out. Where are you leaning on this thing, man?
Dude. Most of these guys are like the definition of an unreliable witness.
Yeah.
Uh, there's, there's some stuff here, right? Like Preston Nichols claims to have degrees in parapsychology, psychology, and electrical engineering, and none of those. There's no credentials for him. There's no receipts for any of that, right?
Right.
None of that can be produced. He also did some weird things with his own kind of business, right?
Yeah.
Where he would deprogram people,
Yeah.
but they had to be naked,
Right.
and they had to sit in his special chair. I I mean, okay, if
Hey,
there was
kids,
a shred of truth at the beginning,
it's how I met your mom. Here's how I met your
right?
here's how I met your mom.
If there was a shred of truth at the beginning, it is completely sullied by all of the things that happened afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a lot there just with him that is suspect. Like
Yeah.
the amount of profit that he tried to extract from this story, books and therapy and weird home experiments and just kind of suspicious stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then,
Yeah.
attached to this is the other guy, Al Bielek. Um, he's saying that, he isn't really Al Bielek, but he was one of the guys who like was on the Philadelphia experiment, but
Right.
then there was some soul transfer and a very elaborate time travel story.
Yeah.
And like he claimed he was one of the solars lost in the dimensional jump, right? He was catapulted for 6 weeks into the year 2137 and then spent 2 years in 2749.
Right.
Um, and then, when he was questioned about, like, sometimes this stuff doesn't line up, he would say, well, after 3 jumps through space and time, it's normal that my memory is a bit of a jumble, right?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe
Uh,
it. You should try.
I
You should
mean,
try.
I
You should try.
suppose. I suppose. Um, one of the witnesses that came forward, Stuart Swerdlow, um, was a fraudster, like convicted fraudster, spent 33 months in federal prison for fraud, um, has made all kinds of outlandish claims about being linked to the Soviet Union, which none of that could be proven.
Correct.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man.
So here's a thing too. I had this conversation last night. We the facts are the facts of this, man. We know the Montauk Project was real, right? We know it was real. We know it was funded. We have the receipts. We know that the facility was real. They do not deny that they were doing the things they were doing, looking for a result that they were looking for, right? We can't deny that. They wanted to weaponize psychic abilities. open portals, time travel, all of it. None of it goes beyond the realm of possibility that our government would try to do any of that stuff.
Right.
I would say any government, given the resources, would try to do that stuff, right? And this is where I talk to people, man, and that in itself alone is fantastical, right? And again, yes, fact number 2, Stranger Things is based 100% on the
Oh yeah,
Montauk Project. For
absolutely.
what for reasons we can
Well,
debate about.
they were going to name it Montauk,
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
they were convinced to change the story a little bit, probably
Yeah,
for
yeah,
copyright reasons and stuff like that,
exactly, man. We
right?
don't wanna use a top secret 30-year project where we abduct kids. It's too close to home, right?
Or a series of books where
Yeah,
the authors
yeah,
would obvious in their estate would obviously be litigious to try to get
yeah,
some more money
exactly.
out of it.
Yeah, so we know this was real, right? And that's where I don't understand why they just right that's crazy enough, man. Why not just stop? I wa this there was this there's this guy named Billy Carson. I don't know if you've ever seen him, right?
Yeah.
I can't really, I'm not a fan of his work. I think he's full of it. He ran his mouth over and over and over again, and he got found out that he was a fraud. It's the same thing, right? So that's why I'm the same way. Like this guy, Preston Peterson or whatever his name is, Jay.
Preston
Yeah,
Nichols.
Preston Nichols and the other guy, man. The fact that you were involved in a project like this is insane and horrible at the same time. You don't need to come out and tell me, man, that you're a space jumper, man, that you're a time portal jumper, man, and that that you're all over the place, right? I don't know
Att
why. What? Yeah, there's no
Attention does
benefit.
crazy things to people, man,
I guess it does, man.
right? Like, when
I
you
really,
get
I
up
guess.
in
Yeah.
front of people and they are kinda
Mhm.
buying your thing hook, line, and sinker,
Yeah.
they always wanna know more, and I think when you get wrapped up in a story like that, like, coming from a guy who literally has a whole, like, universe living in his head, right?
Mhm.
Um, things start to just kind of roll,
Right.
right? Like, when I get into a story and I start writing, I it just eventually starts to write itself, right? Because you you start walking down these roads and you just see the destination, right? You see the possible scenarios that could arise from the situations you've already created. So, like, I get it. It's just it's about embellishing the story and making it more popular and
Yeah.
garnering more attention. And you also have to look at the prophecy, or yeah, the prophecy, the profit side of it, right?
Correct.
Where, like, these dudes wrote 3 books, they would go to conferences, they were paid speakers and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They were making money off of this, right? So,
Yeah, and
like,
again,
I feel like they took an urban legend and they capitalized on it.
yeah, and that's the thing too, man. You see that a lot. I guess I am a logical pragmatist where I watch people do these incredible things, right? Like a guy will get away with $100 million, right? Like he'll do something, he'll get $100 million, right? And then it'll open up avenues for him to be like, go legitimate and make, generational wealth. But no, I'm gonna do it again. And he gets caught the second time, right? Like, why would you do that? You're dumb, right? So that's why I also say that uh, I don't know if I probably I told this to you before, man. The real crazy, real stories, the real, you know, crime, you don't ever hear about them because those guys will just walk away. They're just
Oh
done.
yeah.
There is no movie, man.
Right. There's
There
no
is no
book.
fucking yeah, there is
There's no
nothing. Who
movie. There's no,
yeah,
like, they don't want to relive those experiences because they
yeah,
were
like the
truly
guy that robbed
traumatic.
the guy that robbed the airplane and jumped out, and
Yeah, DB Cooper.
yeah, DB Cooper. DB Cooper
Poof.
walked away, man.
He
I'm good.
poofed.
I needed a quick score. I needed $500,000. I'm gonna do it in the air, and I'm gonna jump over the woods. And
Gone.
DB Cooper walks away, and you never even hear about this guy ever again, right? So that's the thing. That's the thing, man. I got to say too. When I was reading these guys, man, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but again, after 107 episodes talking to people and weeding out the ones that don't make it to the show. These guys are full of it, man. These guys are
Yeah,
pretty
this
full
one
of it, man.
stinks.
These guys are full of it. Their testimony, their story, their stories are full of it. Like the project is real. Everything, all the Montauk stuff was real, right? But them saying that they're survivors and they
Yeah.
experienced it and they did all this stuff, man, you are so full of it, bro. You are
Yeah,
just out of this world full of it, right?
the whole recovered memory thing,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Where, memory repression and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know about you, man, but I remember I remember everything that has happened to me, whether it was traumatic or not, right?
Right.
Like, recovering repressed memories is kind of a thing that has been very controversial, right? Because
Right.
human memory is a very mutable object.
Right.
Like, people can be fed things and they'll remember it differently. And so, uh, when you talk about deprogramming people under these shady circumstances, I don't know, man. It raises my BS flag.
Yeah. Also, man, it felt to me more. That's not what threw me off. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, right? And again, I'm not saying that Montauk Project wasn't real. It is real. I'm talking specifically about this guy Preston. But it sounds a lot like guided hypnosis. But that wasn't what threw me off. It was the fact that I had to be naked for you to do it. That threw me off. Yeah, like what? No, like I could look. Look.
Is that a necessary part of the treatment?
Listen,
Like,
I could look. Listen. I can help you. I can help you out there. But you have to get naked.
right?
That's the follow up. That's the
Yeah,
sales pitch right there.
yeah, no,
Look, I
I
know you're
just
suffering, man. I can help you out. I'm just gonna need you to lose those bra and panties, man. That's it.
right.
Just get naked, right? And I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
we
rub
have
my
to have
hands all over your body,
we have to have skin to skin contact.
skin to skin contact, man, and to get it going. That's what threw me off. I'm like, all right, man, what is this guy doing right here, right?
Yeah,
And
it
so
it
yeah,
it sends it to a weird level of creepy.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, man, to wrap it up here, man, close things out, man. The fifth and final, Montauk Stranger Things that I do actually think that Stranger Things was, and I just made fun of that guy, but I'm about to say something weird. But it's not going to be the weirdest thing you've ever heard me say.
Probably not.
Hey, right? As I do think that uh, Stranger Things, I do think that it was a CIA op. I really do. I do think it was a CIA op, and the reason why is because you take the whole body of work and you want to look at the undertoning theme or the feel of it, right? And what they did was the whole show is this, man. It's basically about taking trauma becomes adventure,
Yep.
right? Victims become heroes. Experiments become nostalgia, right? Hey,
Mhm.
remember that time when you dunked me in a tank of water and
Yeah.
and gave me a frontal lobe seizure and I opened up a demon came into my house, right? So yeah,
Right.
monsters become entertainment, man. So the story of the Montauk Project didn't change, man. They just changed the tone of it. So when this stuff does come out and does roll out, people are saying like, "Oh wow," instead of saying, "Oh wow, that's you kidnapped the kid and tortured them. That's terrible." Like, "Oh no, what an adventure, man!" Like, "Wow, it was just like Stranger Things. There's a real
Right.
life 11." And again, there's a story I've been sitting on, man, as well about how the Department of Defense actually funded GI Joe cartoons back in the day because recruitment levels were so pathetic after Vietnam that they wanted to romanticize or at an early age, you know, kids were always want to say, "Oh, I want to be a fireman or a policeman when I grow up." No one was saying I want to be, in the
I wanna be in
military
the army. Yeah.
until later on, right? So again, if you don't think every major news outlet's producer is a CIA asset, you're not paying attention, right? You're not paying attention on that. The stories that come through American news is nauseating to watch, right? It's nauseating because all it is politics, and weather, and that weather is blamed on politicians. Global warming. It's all it is, bro. 100%, man. I say this, only people over 70 still watch Fox News and CNN, man, because it's 24/7
Yeah, it is, it's out of
politics.
control. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's propaganda,
and
right?
and and
Like,
it's all it is.
in a
Yeah.
big way, you know? So my mother-in-law listens to
Why are you whispering? She's in the other
no,
room.
I didn't mean to whisper. She's, like, way over there.
So my mother-in-law.
Oh, no. She listens to, like, very, interesting radio shows, right? Like,
Yeah,
always have something on in the background, whether it's the TV or whatever, but she'll turn on a certain station, and dude, some of the things that I have heard, like, I'll take her groceries up or whatever, and she'll be listening to that radio show, and I'll be like, the spin on
yeah,
some of that stuff, just it just makes my if I had any hair, it would blow my hair back,
yeah,
right? Just because, like, it's blatant. It's either blatantly false, like, blatantly, like, not even close to true, or it's so skewed and so twisted, so they take the pieces of the truth and they, reassemble them in a way where it fits their agenda, right?
yeah. And again, that's not a put down to anybody that's over 70. If you're over 70, you should be watching the Ancient Enigma Files, EnigmaCast, every
Yeah, for
Thursday at
sure.
9 PM, right? You should be
There's
watching
more
our show.
truth. There's more truth here than
Yeah,
there is on most of the TV news.
there's more truth here than there's on TV, man. And again, I do think, and if they ever kill pharmaceutical ads for TV, every major news outlet on the planet will go out of business,
Belly up.
because if you're not hearing about Ozempic or diabetes or erectile dysfunction in between the fact that, uh, you know, that whatever, like I said, I don't, well,
My
I
favorite,
could just,
my
I don't
favorite
want to,
is
yeah, I don't want to
if you're
unload.
allergic to Keytruda, do not
Yeah,
use Keytruda.
yeah,
How am I
exactly.
supposed to know if I'm allergic to it?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Right.
If I
If you
haven't ever
take this
taken it.
if you take this shot and then you start bleeding out of every hole in your body, stop taking it.
Right.
Yeah. We're like, yo, there's a chance I'll bleed out of every hole in my body. I'm not taking that shot at all, right?
Right? Like,
Oh
what the
man. Yeah.
hell,
So
man?
that's the thing, man, that goes into, and it's it's by design. It's 100% by design, right? And it's because I call it fear porn. I really do. I call it
Yeah.
fear porn. They want to keep everybody so scared of every single thing that goes on, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a systematic, diabolical attack on critical thinking. Where instead of telling us, for example, we just talked about breaking: US Special Forces retrieve Maduro from Venezuela. News, and that's it. That's all I need to hear. I don't want you to tell me why it's good for me, why it's bad for me. Maduro was X, Y, and Z. I just need it, like, oh, so I can say, like, dang, man, like, somebody went in there and we snatched the president up, right? So number one, that's pretty gangster. But number two, right? Like, so I don't I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I
like,
don't know.
I don't want to be that guy, right? Like,
Right.
I don't care about, about that, right? So, and it's ad nauseum about how this was, they'll go on and they'll play every single doomsday scenario out. And again, it's by design, because I think it is to keep if you read again, to tie this all up in a bow, fear makes people controllable. So that's why when they were doing these Montauk programs and MK Ultra programs, they scare you to death. They beat you. They beat you first, right? They torture you first. They break you down, right?
Yeah.
And then, right? And then they program you how you want, right? And it's a classic example, right? If, say, for example, I wanted to give you a hot dog, Jay, right? And you're tired of eating hot dogs. So I gave you a hot dog every day for 30 days. And you're like, hey, man, can I get a hamburger right here? But every time you came to get a hot dog, I gave you a hug, right? But that's one experiment, right?
Right.
But every time I told you to come and get a hot dog and you didn't come, I beat you with a stick, right? No matter what, man, the hugs don't work as well as the stick, right? So it's like, hey, go get that or get beat. It's not go get that and get a hug, right? And that's all the news is, man. And these people make me sick, man. They make me sick. They are absolutely, the people on the news, the people that push this propaganda, they are 100% CIA,
Well, I mean,
New World Order puppets,
it's
man. And they
all
make me
big corporation at this
sick.
point.
It is, man. It's all it is, man. And they make
It's
me sick, bro.
have
I really can't stand it, right?
you seen the clip where they take like one news show and they'll say there's this like public service announcement, and they'll
Yeah.
start reading the public service announcement, and they'll just start lining them up,
Yeah.
and they're all
Yeah.
saying the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
It's all saying the same thing. Yeah, because all local news does is push people to watch
Well,
national news. Yeah.
it's all owned by the same company, right?
It's all
So
scripted, baby.
right, so it's all scripted. So like
Yeah.
you don't see news stories that the company, and I won't name the company, but that
Disney.
particular company, no, it was Sinclair Broadcasting that did
Sinclair
that, right?
Broadcast, right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. So like Sinclair Broadcasting has investors. They have shareholders. You're not ever going to see a story that is counter to the interests of those corporate entities.
And this is how you fix an Enigmites. This is how you fix it. Just turn it
Yep.
off.
Turn
it off, baby.
Yep.
Just turn it off, man. Just do it. Turn it off, right?
Yeah.
So anyways,
we should do what Italy's doing.
yeah, just turn it off.
Have you heard about what's going on in Italy?
No, real quick, wrap it up here.
They just decided to stop. They're not
really?
Yep. Not going to work, not watching TV, not buying anything.
Just stop.
We're done.
Just quit.
We're done.
Just quit. Just don't play the game. It's actually one of the arts of Shang Tsu's arts of war is that don't fight.
Yeah.
And don't engage in the game.
Starve your
right?
enemy of resources.
That's it. All right, Jay, real quick, man, as we're coming up on time here, bro, break it down, man. Montauk Project, real or not real?
I think that any element of truth that was there was foreshadowed or overshadowed by all of the fiduciary, to use your word, that happened afterward, right?
Yeah.
I think they took an urban legend and they capitalized on it.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. The Montauk Project was definitely real. Stranger Things is based on the Montauk Project. I think those terrible things actually happened. And then either by design or by freak of nature, the people that came forward destroyed all the credibility just enough that anybody that would find it casually reading it would be like, yo, this is crazy, right? As a matter of fact, they would actually go the exact opposite, which I think is the CIA motive on it, was that, oh, look, they're just trying to rip off Stranger Things, not realizing that Stranger Things was based on this.
Yeah.
And again, the upside down. So, Jay, as we leave here, man, tell everybody where they can find you, big dog.
I can be found on Amazon, the Carina Sagittarium series, and I can also be found on 11 Dog Media, 11dog.media, or just 11dog.com.
11dog.com, right? So yeah, so Jay, send me those links, man. I'll put them in the bio of this video. We've been meaning to do that, man. Keep skipping on that. So yeah, so you know how we do around here, nerds, at this time of day. Give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything, but me and this guy get to brag to other people about how we got followers and they don't.
Yep.
And we keep a little fun running competition here as well. I like to joke on it. And then leave us any comments below. If you think what do you think about the Montauk Project? What do you think about Stranger Things? What do you think about the comparison? Or if you know any crazy stories about the Philadelphia experiment, I'd actually like to hear them. I'd like to read them. So Jay, you know how we do. That's all you nerds get for $1. And what, Jay?
See you next time.
We're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.